Nonstop. Here we are again. Here we are again. Sam Darnold news. Now, I can't tell you that this has a lot of legs because, no offense, Diana Rossini, but you're posting like, the Steelers are going after Justin Fields. The Steelers are going after this guy. And the next post is, the Steelers are expected to make an offer to pending free agent Sam Darnold. A lot of stuff coming off the X account of Diana Rossini. So hard to know what really has legs, but this is a big enough piece of news that I got to come live on it, and either shoot it down or double stamp or triple stamp or whatever, cross streams, whatever we got to do to help make you feel comfortable and taken care of, because that's my job. I was going to go get a slice of pizza. The pie is sitting on the counter in the kitchen right now. It's been there for hours, and I thought maybe after the Aaron Jones stream, after the Myles Garrett stream, and who knows, maybe I don't get to the pie at all today. But we're here because we go live when news breaks. Other channels don't do it like we do it. We do it like no one else on this channel or on this platform. This channel is your one-stop shop. The Fantasy Football Show. Sam Darnold breaking news. Does he go to Pittsburgh? Is it even a good fit? Is this absolute garbage news? And then Aaron Rodgers news by Diana Rossini the next minute says that that Aaron Rodgers might be going over to talk to Seattle. This makes sense if this does have legs, that the Seahawks are like, crap, let's talk to Aaron Rodgers, because now we hear that maybe Sam Darnold could be going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who knows? The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Live whenever big news breaks. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You know the deal. So here we are talking about Diana Rossini's 4-minute-old tweet that she sent out there into the ether of the platform known as X. Steelers are expected to make an offer to pending free agent Sam Darnold, per source. Many around the league believe Darnold will wind up in Seattle, but Pittsburgh is doing its due diligence on any potential options ahead of the new league year. And then you have this news here from Diana Rossini saying that the Seahawks are expected to talk with Aaron Rodgers. So these do line up, but they're both coming from Diana Rossini. And I'm not trying to say anything negative about Diana Rossini. I think she can be accurate at times, but, do I trust her as much as I do Schefter or Rappaport? No. And so when Schefter and Rappaport are not reporting it and it's just Diana Rossini reporting it, kind of gives me pause. No offense, Diana Rossini, if you're watching. It kind of gives me pause. Because, I think that she's not as connected and dialed in. But, she's dialed in enough. She works as an NFL insider for The Athletic. She's got some pull for sure, but I think some of it feels a little bit like guesswork, which is fine. But I think a lot of people report it as if it's, this has got tons of legs to it. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Some of it does, some of it doesn't. Sometimes she has been right. Sometimes I feel like I don't know where it's come from. But at the end of the day, the Steelers are going to kick the tires on a lot of options. And just because we haven't heard this one very much, if much at all, doesn't mean that the Steelers aren't quietly working behind the scenes. Like, if you're doing this deal or I'm doing this deal, I'm not letting anybody know what I'm thinking. But you do have to have conversations and have talks that get leaked. And, you can't wait until the 11th hour, because he could already be ready to go, lined up. And as soon as the new league year starts, how all these things go. All these deals and trades and signings are all announced immediately. So you got to be ahead of it, days and weeks ahead of it. And in this case, you don't have much time. Sam Darnold will be somewhere in hours. Justin Fields will probably be signed somewhere within hours of, right now. So we're going to have, tomorrow's going to be busy. You think today's busy. This is our third or fourth live stream already, and it's 10 p.m. my time. I haven't had a chance to even eat. But this will be wild. Where Darnold goes will certainly affect where Fields goes. Where Fields goes will certainly affect where Darnold goes. Where Aaron Rodgers goes will affect where both of those guys go. And just because one signs doesn't mean the two continue in the same direction they were headed. When one domino falls, all the dominoes get mixed around and shuffled around, and then they go to different directions. Same thing with Matthew Stafford. When Matthew Stafford went back to the Rams, the whole landscape for the free agent quarterbacks changed dramatically. And what does this mean for J.J. McCarthy? J.J. McCarthy's leaning a little bit right now toward the starter of 2025 Minnesota Viking football. And that's good if you're a believer in J.J. McCarthy. I know Sick Nasty, our one of our esteemed moderators. Appreciate him, by the way. Appreciate Space Ricky. Appreciate Blackbeard and Travis and Vampy and Terry Roberts. All my mods. Appreciate all of you. DeBalt, all of you. I think this is tough to say there's much here, is I guess what I'm leaning toward. As far as like me digesting the landing spot, if in fact Darnold did go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, pretty good spot for him. You're not asking him to save the world. You're asking him to manage an offense, and that's kind of what I think a good expectation would be for him. I think he'd do pretty well in this scenario. I think he's efficient enough. I think he proved enough to a lot of us that he can still play football. And, he was a highly touted prospect that just couldn't deliver. Think of Baker Mayfield. I mean, Baker Mayfield and Darnold are very similar in that they really proved, I think, for too long of a period to be calling it a fluke or a situational based, rebound. He's good. Is he a great quarterback? No. Is he an elite quarterback? No. Obviously not. If he's not great, he's not elite. But is he good? Is he really good? Maybe. He's really good in Minnesota. Is he really good outside of Minnesota? That I don't know. Is he good or really good? He's not great. He's not elite. He's in between good and really good, and we just don't know. And this situation here is a very mundane operating system that he's got to run. So I'm not too worried about him in Pittsburgh. That's a pretty decent spot. But Pittsburgh's not winning multiple playoff games anyway. So it's like, hey, let's win enough games by 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Go to the playoffs and lose in round one because Tomlin's the coach. I don't want Justin Fields going back to Pittsburgh. They didn't trust him. They pulled the rug out from under him. And if Justin Fields goes back to Pittsburgh, I got to question his mentality. Because why would you go to a place where they stabbed you in the back? So Justin Fields to New York. I want Justin Fields going to the Jets. I want Sam Darnold probably... If Seattle can get Ward, Shador, or Dart, I might like that better for JSN. Long-term, short-term, I like all three of those quarterbacks right now for JSN. Do I like Darnold more for the now, but not as much long-term in Seattle for JSN? Maybe. But I'm willing to forego that now for Shador, Ward, obviously Ward. Shador, Ward, or Dart to give him maybe the same amount of now, but a whole lot of potential future value attached to that situation. So if I had to dissect this and say, give me these landing spots, give me Shador or Dart in Seattle, give me or Darnold, give me Fields to the New York Jets, give me Aaron Rodgers to and here's a report from Diana Rossini. I don't know how accurate it is. The Vikings and Colts are expected to be leading contenders to sign Daniel Jones. Okay. Russell Wilson, send him back to Pittsburgh. Let's do that. Let's go Seattle, Darnold. Let's go. Let me pull up the teams here. Let's go Cam Ward, New York Giants. They trade up to the 1 pick. Let's go. I care about Aaron Rodgers and I don't, Let's go Justin Fields as a New York Jet. Let's go Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. That's what I want. Do I think it happens? No. Let's go Dart in Seattle. Let's go Shador in Cleveland. I want Cam Ward in New York. If Cam Ward can't go to New York, give me Dart or give me Shador or give me Fields in New York as a Giant. Those are my spots. It's so tough. It's so tough. Where's Ron Navy been? Oh, is Ron Navy here? He's finally here. Ron, where have you been? And we're talking Steelers today. I figured you'd come around at least today. Ron says if Darnold goes to the Steelers, he will fail. He will look like the Jets' Darnold because Tomlin will ruin him. He'll look worse than Pickett or Rudolph. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Thank you, Ron. I did expect that coming from Ron, to be honest. He hates Tomlin. And you know what? Ron's been right about Tomlin pretty much the entire way. Ron, hats off to you. Smitty approved your Tomlin take.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Over the years, he's been so critical of Tomlin when everybody's been praising his name. And I'll be honest, the moment I jumped off the Tomlin train, not that I was ever a huge fan, but I didn't share Ron's hatred for him. And I don't hate anybody, but the reason I jumped off any sort of train that you could consider being on a train with Tomlin would be when he didn't understand that Fields was by far and away the best quarterback on the roster after he went 4-2. You know, and one of the most lazy takes ever constructed is the take that some people saying that when they say, well, Fields, how good could Fields be when he got benched for Russell Wilson? What a dumb take. That's the laziest take I've ever heard in my life. Oh, so because Tomlin benched Fields for Russell Wilson, that means that Fields has to be bad. Dial in. Anybody have a take on this? Ron, you're more than welcome to call in. You haven't called in a while. If you want to give me your take real quick before I go eat my slice of pizza.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in, Ron. Dial in. Anybody else wants to dial in real quickly on this topic or any of the topics today? Myles Garrett, how it affects Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Aaron Jones, how it affects the running back climate, the rookies, the landing spots. Does somebody good land in Minnesota? Dial in. Let's hear your take. Let's hear what you think about everything that's been going on today. And tomorrow should be a damn busy day. Buckle up. Tomorrow might be nonstop live streams. And the way I operate is that if a new piece of news comes out, even if something broke right now, I would end this live stream, come back and start a new one because I want everything in its own video compartmentalized and tucked away nice and tidy so that it's easily found and it makes a lot of sense when you're trying to search for content. You know, you don't have to try and find in the middle of the live stream that's got Aaron Jones on it. I talk about Sam Darnold. Like, it has to make sense. Rodgers to the Titans. Yeah, that would be the best place to let Rodgers go to, you know, put a fork in it. You know what I mean? Like, that's where, if I'm worried about Rodgers, I want him going to the Titans, and I'm kind of worried about him. So the Titans are a place to just send him away. It's like putting him in a nursing home over in Tennessee. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to harm you over there. No one's going to play badly. I get, you know, and even if like Travis Hunter were drafted to Tennessee and they sign Aaron Rodgers, he'll probably feed him enough. But like, at least Aaron Rodgers can go retire in Tennessee. That's fine. Ron, welcome back. Ron, first of all, we haven't heard from you in forever. Hope all is well. And
yeah.
Second, like, what are you thinking here, man? I mean, I know you hate Tomlin, but if something is to work out to the best of its capability, do you like this signing over Russell Wilson? Like, let's try and step away from Tomlin for a second and just tell me who has the best shot at being as productive as they possibly can. Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Those are the plays. And Aaron Rodgers. Who do you want if you're choosing? I don't want to hear they're all going to fail, but which one fails the least?
Oh, the least?
Mm-hmm. There, I'm going to get an answer out of him that way. Yeah.
Well, Justin Fields can never reach his potential there in Pittsburgh. We know that, so he's out.
Not his fault.
Darnold, he'll just look like like I said, he'll end up looking like he did in Carolina and all the other places he's been, except for under a good coach in Minnesota.
I thought I was going to get an answer out of him, but he's just going to go down a rabbit hole.
I'd almost
I can tell.
God. Who would have the chance, because he's smarter and he pretty much will run things the way he wants to be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers
would
with Adams.
probably have the most success.
Adams and Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know that Adams will follow him. He might to Pittsburgh, but that could be really. That was my prediction months ago. Is Adams and Rodgers would, Rodgers and Adams to Pittsburgh would be the most efficient.
But I mean, even that, I mean, you're looking at what, a year, maybe two of Rodgers, and
maybe,
and who knows? I mean, with Tomlin and Arthur Smith, oh God, that's a disaster.
Yeah. Where do you want Fields? Where do you want Fields to go? I bet you part of you has a soft spot in your heart for Fields because he endured so much BS over in Pittsburgh. So New York Jets, are you liking that idea? Or doesn't seem to be tied to the Giants too much, although I want that. Do you think the New York Jets would be a good spot for Fields? I think it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, but honestly, you know what? I think the person that can get the most out of Fields and develop Fields
Dable
isn't the Jets. I think it's Minnesota.
That would be good.
I think
yeah.
He has a way with quarterbacks, and I think Minnesota got Fields. I'm not saying that they will.
Yeah.
But I think he's having the best chance of having success with Philly. I mean, not with Philly, but with Minnesota.
Yeah. What Darnold did there was unbelievable. But yeah, I haven't heard a single peep about Fields in Minnesota one time, so probably not happening. But yeah, that would be a good spot. But Dable in New York hand him Neighbors and Dable. That's going to cure it all. You send Fields to Tennessee, he fails. It's a big difference. People need to understand. I'm not like a pro Fields no matter what. I'm merely a fan of him, rebounding, and I think he can in the right spot because he's a broken man. But yeah, Darnold. I mean, okay, let me go back to this. What domino drops tomorrow first of the quarterbacks? Darnold, Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, of the big ones. Not like Danny Dimes, like of the big ones. What domino drops and where? Predict it tomorrow. What happens tomorrow? First thing, first quarterback signing, big one. What happens tomorrow?
I think the next quarter. It could be any of them, but I think it will be Seattle who gets the quarterback. I think Seattle will sign the first quarterback. Out of whoever they want, I think Seattle will get one of them, and I don't know who, but I think Seattle's not going to wait around and wait. They're gonna be proactive.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh seems to. Omar always sits around and waits, and doesn't really.
If let's say Diana Rossini's reach, which she's got reach, but I don't know if you notice, she doesn't get retweeted a lot by Schefter and Rappaport, and I wonder if there's a little bit of a beef, stepping on our turf. Schefter and Rappaport are so. I think they've gotten better since like McAfee got bigger than them, and at first they pushed back on McAfee. They pushed back on everybody. I think they've slowly accepted that they can't be the only dogs in the race anymore, and so they kind of are okay with other people now, where they were so territorial. But you don't see a lot of, in my opinion, you don't see a lot of Schefter retweeting Rossini, and Rappaport retweeting Rossini. There's a couple like beefs in the industry, and I don't know if that's one of them or really what, but I kind of feel like if this does have enough reach that Seattle's seeing it, let's say, and it spreads wide enough, and it seems to be spreading pretty widely, I wonder if this makes them go crazy, and I know, Thomas, that Schefter goes on the McAfee show. We know that. I'm saying in the past, but if this gets spread wide, then maybe Seattle does kind of up their ante, up the ante. You know what I mean? Like that would be a nice surprise tomorrow. Although I do love the rookies, but we're not guaranteed that a rookie's going to land in Seattle. Like even Dart could go ahead of 18. Like there's no guarantee that even Jackson Dart will be there at 18. We just don't know. So rather than have JSN be in the lurch, I want him to go get Darnold now, I guess, if they have to. Darnold's good. I admit Darnold surprised me greatly. I admit being completely wrong on Darnold, but I fear it's just Minnesota, but we'll see. Minnesota's such a good spot. It's such a good spot. That's why JJM probably, no matter how much he's going to have to learn and develop, he certainly could be unreal, right from the jump.
Well, I missed your. I'm sure you've covered it over and over again, but that whole Geno trade to the Raiders, that was a huge surprise. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
but it makes sense for the Raiders considering, I mean,
he's not bad.
It does make sense. So
he's
the Raiders actually did something I agree with.
I mean, he's certainly not winning him a Super Bowl, but like, he's not bad. You know what I mean? Like he's, I don't know. Like even when you like look at his numbers, and there's some categories and some metrics that like he's really good at, and it's like, man, he doesn't feel like he's as good as some of these metrics speak to. But, yeah, I mean,
he's under the same coach,
right?
So
he'll be good. He'll be good.
He had winning seasons under him in Seattle, so it makes sense.
It does. It does. That's the coach that gave him confidence. In Pete, he said that Pete Carroll, he had no confidence before Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll gave him everything he needed, and Pete Carroll wanted him badly. I just hope that we see a kind of like small version of the. And I know most people won't want this, but that want to see Geno succeed. But if they draft Jackson Dart or go get Joe Milton and just secure the backup spot, I'll be really, really comfortable with Brock Bowers' future. And I really want the Raiders to use that number 6 on Genty no matter what, even if Geno's there. Geno's good enough. He's not great, but he's good enough that Genty would thrive. And Bowers is stretching the field. He's not some like 5-yard, 7-yard route running tight end. He's a field stretching like receiver in a tight end position. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for Genty to explode in LV. So I'm really hopeful. But the more I look at Geno, it's not horrible. The question is Geno safer than Darnold? Yes. Does Darnold have more upside than Geno? Yes. Are you risking it more if you're Seattle going after Darnold than Geno? Yes. But like you said, Pete Carroll and Geno, they're kind of meant to be together. And maybe Geno can never be. It might look like it was a mistake if Geno plays really well in freaking Las Vegas, but he may not have played well if he stayed in Seattle. So it's going to be hard to really adjust it. Jeremy Fowler, Justin Fields expected to test free agency. Steelers still hope to re-sign him. That's encouraging, even though we knew that was kind of the case. It's encouraging to think that Justin Fields is thinking with his brain and not going back to a place where they pulled the rug out from under you. Basically, Tomlin licked his hand, slapped Fields across the face, pulled his shirt over his head, and shoved him over. Disrespected like no quarterback I've seen disrespected in years. If Fields was going to go back to that, I'd question Fields a lot. So good for Fields, man. And test free agency, he'll be signed tomorrow. What are we talking about here? How many of these quarterbacks will be gone tomorrow? They might be gone like within 5 minutes. Remember last year how many things were announced like right away? There was like 7 things right away. It was crazy. We'll have to see.
Well, one good thing is at least Fields got to be put back on the map after, Chicago ruined him. And at least he has a good record. He started out the year great. It wasn't because of him that he didn't continue to play. It was so he has now the ability to find a team that he can fit well with, that'll use him, use his abilities, and groom him. He has that ability now, so he did get that out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's true. If I'm Seattle, I want Fields.
What about? I kind of like. I mean, Darnold fit with Minnesota. I don't know why they just don't re-sign him. And here's the other thing is who they going to get to come in. I mean,
they believe in J.J. McCarthy if they don't bring Darnold back, essentially.
Yeah, but he's still in rehab and all that.
He's supposed to be back.
If you believe in J.J., then why not bring in Aaron Rodgers then? Well, bring in Aaron Rodgers
because Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to
board and stuff.
He
bring
might
him in for a year or two, and that makes more sense to me than anything.
I mean, maybe, but you got to remember, Rodgers doesn't want to go be replaced, and if he goes to a place where they drafted a quarterback in the top 15, top 13 overall, and he's literally on borrowed time, on a short leash, and I think he wants to go somewhere where there's no competition. But it might be a place he goes to if there's no other choice.
He's only got a year or two left anyway, Smitty. I mean,
I know,
he knows that.
I know, but Ron,
he has the weapons there in Minnesota.
I know, but the problem is J.J. McCarthy's an immediate threat, not necessarily a threat just 2-3 years down the road. So I think I'm agreeing with you that if he can't find another home, and they come to him, and then let's say there's news that McCarthy's behind schedule, which the last report we got was like literally a couple days ago, and it said that he'd be ready to go, and so everything looks good for McCarthy. But if there's some sort of behind closed doors, like, hey, Rodgers, we need you because he's not going to be ready for week 1, or we want to hold him back, I could see that being his last resort because of the wide receivers, because of his confidence, and he thinks he could hold off J.J. McCarthy. But I don't think he walks willingly into a committee, or a competition. In JJM, you don't spend the draft capital on a quarterback like the Vikings did inside the top 13 overall and not expect to use the quarterback. So you just got to be worried about that if you're Rodgers. Real quickly, hold on, Ron. Would Seattle take Dart even if they got Darnold? This is what I was saying earlier, is I hope that they do. I don't know that they will. It was a very looked down upon strategy by the Atlanta Falcons, and if Geno gets signed to or Darnold gets signed to a 3 to 4 year deal, which is what Darnold reportedly is wanting. To sign Darnold, he's requiring, and he'll get it because the suitors are widespread, he's requiring a 3 to 4 year deal. And he's probably looking at $40 to $45 million per year. And so this will be a very, very similar Kirk Cousins deal. $100 million guaranteed going to Darnold. $100 million guaranteed makes it a very, very tough, hey, you're drafting Dart. However, if you take Dart at 18, it's not as bad as taking Penix Jr. at 9. So it's a very different feel. It would be something I would 100% do because I was 100% on board taking Penix Jr., when Atlanta was on the clock. So I guess, whether it's the Raiders or the Seahawks, with Geno in the Raiders situation and Darnold, let's say, signs with Seattle tomorrow, either team should still take Jackson Dart. Dart is a great prospect. And then BBQ with his $5 hauler, this might tell us the Steelers aren't confident in signing Fields, who ends up a Jet. And that's, again, the report I just read, that Fields has decided to test the market. So it means he's saying bye-bye to Pittsburgh. I might come back if I can't find anybody, but I'm gone. So that's great to hear, if that report is correct. Thank you both. All right, Ron, any final thoughts, bro?
No, bro. I've just been busy. I got a lot of medical stuff going on lately, and that whole thing with the Trump offering federal employees to resign, and actually I can resign in lieu of retirement because I'm eligible for retirement in July. So it'll actually, I won't have to, as of Friday, I check out, turn everything in, and I'll get paid all the way through December.
Okay.
And it'll turn into retirement. So that's what I've been working on.
Congrats on
all that other stuff.
Congrats on the early
retirement.
Ron Navy. That means he can be here more often. All right, Ron, call in later. I'm sure we'll be live again.
Oh, I will if I'm able to, Smitty. I will. And, I'll try to catch up. I know I've been absent a while, but hope everything's doing great. And I've been seeing all the content you've been putting out, and it's been great content. So
all right, thanks.
I'll try to be more present.
All right,
I'll
awesome,
talk
Ron.
to you later.
Tebow says,
Right,
sorry to hear that, Ron. What do we just gave good news. What are you talking about, Tebow? Tebow, pay attention. Sean from Idaho. Sean, you're live.
How you doing?
What's up?
If you were the Seahawks, would you prefer to get Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers?
Darnold. Because I mean, you might have a future, and they're probably the same right now in the best case scenario for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I think they're using Rodgers as a fallback option and potentially negotiation tactic to lower the price down.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Fields though than Darnold. So give me Fields, give me Darnold, give me Dart.
I just don't think Fields fits in Kubiak's offense that he's going to run.
I mean, a great coach can work with whatever he's got, and I think that just because you haven't had a mobile quarterback doesn't necessarily mean you can't figure it out. Plus, he wants a balanced run attack. I think it could work. I think also Fields is a much better passer than people realize. He just needs to be fixed. He just needs to be given the proper tools. He hasn't had them. He's never had them. In Chicago, he didn't have them. In Chicago, they disarmed him. They ripped all the meat off the bone. And that horrible GM Ryan Poles, the awful GM Ryan Poles, sent Fields out onto the field for an entire season with janitors and plumbers catching the football from him. Nobody. He had literally the hot dog vendor catching balls from him. People couldn't even tell you who the starting wide receivers' names were. Fields ran for 1,100 yards that season. Injured I think it was his PCL or his strained his knee. Thank God he got out of that without a career-ending injury. But Ryan Poles should have been fired on the spot for doing that to Justin Fields, his starting quarterback. The only time they ever supported Justin Fields ever was getting him DJ Moore, and he turned DJ Moore into a top 7 fantasy football wide receiver that year. And Tomlin should be ashamed of himself the way he pulled the rug out from under him and never gave him a shot. And people blaming Fields on why Pickens didn't do well. First of all, Pickens is his own problem. And second of all, Fields was running an offense that was completely built, custom made for Russell Wilson. And he was just holding the clipboard for 6 games. And he went 4-2 doing it, impromptu style. So Fields has never been given a chance to be a drop back passer and thrive and develop his skills. Now, because of that reason, he's broken. And because of that reason, he may not develop. But it's worth a try.
My guess is he ends up with the Jets. That's what
I hope so. That's what that's a great spot. We're hoping for it. That's the lead dog candidate for Justin Fields right now is the New York Jets. The lead dog candidate for Darnold is the Seahawks, despite this live stream right now, despite Diana Rossini's report.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Seattle.
I think if I had to get, and again, I take no lapse or shame. I'm not ringing a bell and walking through in my underwear in the streets of Phoenix, ringing a bell and yelling shame, shame, shame if I get these wrong, because one domino dropping changes and I have to redo it for myself, because if one quarterback goes somewhere unexpected, I'm not just going to predict the same things to go to the other spots. But if I had to guess right now, I would say Pittsburgh equals Russ. I think he goes back because they'll have no other choice. I think New York Jets equals, we'll go with Fields. I think that Seattle is leaning Darnold. I think that the New York Giants end up getting the 1 pick through a trade, and they go Ward. that means that
You don't think that the Giants are linked to Rodgers?
No. There's even a report saying that they were going in another direction just a little while ago. So it's been all over the map. So, and then I would say that my Sanders, I don't know. This is hard. I want to say that Cleveland is gonna maybe end up with Sanders, but this could change. I thought this would be the Raiders, and
I could see
it's probably not going to be
there is
now.
a chance that Sanders falls all the way down to like Pittsburgh.
And then
21.
Dart is interesting. Dart is somebody that, I mean, man, this is so tough for me to predict this one. And again, if one domino goes in another direction than I'm predicting, then I would have to restart this entire thing because it's going to change everything. But let me see if I can find the NFL draft order. I think I have it here somewhere on my screen. So, man, Dart to, man, I don't know. I don't think Dart would go in the top 18 then unless he was going to go to Seattle still, which I think that wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world if the Seahawks do a 2-year deal that's very team friendly. You know, it could be. I would say I'm going to put.
My guess is that the Darnold deal is going to be a lot like the Baker Mayfield deal, and there's going to be ways to get out of it if they want to draft a quarterback, or like the same thing with Penix and Cousins, kind of, but more flexible. Would be my guess.
Yeah,
would be the plan if they want Dart.
Let's put so the draft order. Let me see if I can come up with another Dart alternative. I'm going to put, because I don't think Seattle's a lock for it, but I'd probably say next best team would be
a lot of teams going Dart. I could see Cleveland in round 2. I could see
all right, hold on one second.
Pittsburgh.
The next best team would probably be, if I had to guess, man, I mean, I think, man, wouldn't Miami be interesting? Miami would be crazy. Miami, Seattle,
I can't see that.
or Pittsburgh.
I think Miami
would be.
Going to go
Okay, hold on, bro. Let me just go through my prediction. Seattle, Miami, or Pittsburgh would probably be. Let me put this on here. Seattle, Miami, or Pittsburgh. Seattle, Miami, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm gonna say for Dart potentially, but this is again, if one of these dominoes goes in a different direction, then I got to redo the whole thing. This is not something that's just gonna, one's off. Okay, Smitty's missing all of them.
Right.
I'd have to redo it. All right.
And what about Rodgers?
Tennessee. Let's hope. I guess.
I could see Indy too.
Rodgers
to go down that way.
A-Rod, Tennessee, I guess. I don't know. This is going to be... The thing is, again, this could all be wrong based on one thing tomorrow, but we'll see. All right, last thing, Sean, anything else?
No, thank you.
All right, thanks, Sean. Appreciate you. All right, anybody got one final thought, prediction? Hit me with it. Shanahan almost has to sign him. Who are you talking about, bro? DK to LAC? Maybe. Certainly a possibility. Gardner Minshew to the Jets. Chargers, Texans high on DK Metcalf is a report that just... Chargers are high on DK Metcalf. That's the report that people are throwing around right now. Chargers high on DK Metcalf. Everyone's just repeating, one person comes out with a piece of news and it just gets leveraged by everybody. And, so we'll see. We've heard that one already, though. That's not new news. DK Metcalf to the Chargers, DK Metcalf to the Houston Texans, DK Metcalf to the Buffalo Bills, DK Metcalf to the New England Patriots. Those have already been identified as landing spots. So someone's just trying to get somebody to do what they did, which is everybody starts copying and saying, according to this report, the Chargers are on the DK Metcalf front. They might be. They've been on the front. All right, appreciate you all. Dial in tonight. We'll be going live again, and we'll update everybody. Appreciate you all. Live whenever big news breaks. Now, I think I could go get a slice of pizza. I'm not going to go live on the DK Metcalf thing because that's already known. That's just somebody trying to... Texans and Chargers have already been high on DK Metcalf's list and high on their list. That's not new information. See you all very, very soon. Appreciate my super chatters. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, BBQ. Live when big news breaks. Additionally, live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And live at midnight. Most graveyard shifts were live at midnight Eastern. See you all soon. I got to say, Trump was talking about potentially, looking at daylight savings time. If you could do away with daylight savings time on an executive order or whatever, I got to be honest with you. I would love for daylight savings time to be gone and not have to do this song and dance twice a year where we rotate. And I got to tell everybody 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. my time in Arizona and in California. But once daylight savings kicks in, it's now at 5 p.m. My time in Arizona. It's just it's a song and a dance. I would be open-minded. I'm in Arizona. We don't practice it. We elected not to participate. Arizona doesn't participate in daylight savings. I don't think anybody should. Who cares if you got to... It's kind of fun looking forward to the time of the year where it's darker, it's lighter. Get rid of it. How do you win big money in fantasy? Use this code right here and play Underdog. Gump. Use this link, Underdog Fantasy. Code Smitty. The link inserts Code Smitty for you. That's how you win a whole bunch of money. Or you can at least. Daniel Hart in the building. Appreciate you, Mr. G. Travis. Travis hasn't been here for all these shows today. Travis, you missed like all these live streams. Appreciate you being here though. I saw you the whole show. Appreciate you moderating. Tebow, Gump, 1107. Appreciate you. Mill Road to Miami would be great, Daniel. Would be great. Raider, appreciate you. Strawberry, see you later. Healing, we'll see you. Johansson, we'll see you later. Golden State, see you later. Show, we'll see you later. Slim, we'll see you later, Slim. Thomas, Deuces, appreciate the super chat. Aldi, appreciate you. Thanks for calling in. Whoever, I forget who just called in, and I didn't mean to yell at him. I was trying to tell him what I was thinking, and he kept. Yeah, anyway, I didn't mean to yell at you, bro. Didn't believe. I thought it was. D, we'll see you later. D Money. Aldi, see you later.